This is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to be doing the Union Jack on a single loom. I've done it on a double loom, but I've had a lot of people asking if I can do it on a single loom. So we're going to do that. The loom is going to be in the standard configuration, which means all columns are going to be the same height. The arrow is pointing towards you, or the open part of the peg is facing towards you. We're going to be double banding, which means you take two bands and you place them on the peg together as if they were a single band. Now we're going to be using lead bands, so those are going to just sit here at the top. I'm going to do my top and bottom as white. You can do what you like, but I'm doing a border of white. I think that makes things a little bit easier. So I've got my two lead bands of white, and then I'm doing white here and white here. It is important that you go from the right to the left. Okay, now if you wanted to do a border of white to start with, you can do that, and I think that would look quite nice. You'll find my patterns on my website, which is www.izzalicious.com, and there is a link for murals, and under that link you will find patterns, and I have put there patterns that I've made into grids, pictures I've made into grids, or things that I have submitted to braceletbook.com. I think there might even be a few from braceletbook.com that I thought were particularly fabulous. So you will find those there. Now I've just come down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the bands for my second column so that I know exactly how long I want to go down my first column. So my second column, other than my border, is going to be the first column of my pattern, which starts with a white band, and then I have two blues, if I can get my bands separated. If you find them that they're a bit twisted, just run your hook through the inside of the bands and that will release that. So we need two pair of blues, then we have another pair of white, then we have two pair of red, One of the things about murals is the bigger they are, the more detail you could have in them. So the smaller they are, the less detail. So I had a lot of people asking if I could do the Welsh flag, and I would love to do the Welsh flag. However, it's such an intricate flag with the beautiful dragon and everything that it would just be a blob. There would be absolutely no detail to it at all, which would be a real shame. So yeah, I've said no for that. So we start with white, two blue, white, two red, white, two blue, and a white. That's as far as we need to go. But as I said, we're going to be doing a border. So I don't need to use these last two pegs for this particular one. However, I'm going to lay my bands for the third, and then I can put my border across the bottom here. So for my third column, I'm doing a pair of red, a pair of white. I really do encourage you guys. I've had a lot of people saying, can you do this flag and can you do that flag? All you need to do is get a picture of the flag that you like. For example, the Irish flag, you've got 3 colours, or the German flag, 3 colours. Netherlands flag, again, 3 colours. There's nothing in it, you know, as a big emblem or anything like that. And you can just do those 3 colours. Do say 4 rows of red, 4 rows of white, 4 rows of blue for the Netherlands flag, and just keep going for as long as you want it. So it's very easy once you know this technique to apply it to a picture of your choice. Okay, so I'm busy yakking away. We've got 2 blue, 2 white. I need 2 red. And 2 white. If you sign up to braceletbook.com, and it's free, you can actually take a picture and use their tool to graph it, and it will put the squares of what colour you need, which is really helpful. So for our border on the bottom, which is white, we're going to put 2 white here as our lead, and then 2 from the right to the left, and 2 more going from the middle to the left. Okay, now the other thing that we need to do is use crossover bands. Now I've had a lot of people say, I haven't got any crossover bands that are clear. That doesn't really matter. You use the predominant colour of what you're working with. So if you don't have clear, use white. White is the border that we're going to use. So you just take a single white band and stretch it across. It's going to be hidden when you flip over the band anyway, so it really isn't going to matter. The important part is that on the edge here, you're not going to see an odd funky colour. So you just take a single band and stretch it. Now this is the technique that I've coined as the move it forward technique. It's what I do to make capes and things like that. And I use it when I make figures, and it just sort of made sense to me to be able to make a mini mural this way. Take a single band and wrap it around your hook once and twice. That's the end cap. And we're going to pop that right here on that corner, and that is our starting point. So we're going to dig down, grab the 2 top white bands, and they need to loop to the right. Do the same for the next one, like that. Now we're just going to loop up these first 2 columns. Okay, if I'm going too fast for you, pause me. It's really important that you go at your own speed, but everybody has their own speed, so to tell somebody to slow down, I made a bit of a funny video on what I would sound like if I really did slow down, and it is horrendous. So if you want a bit of a giggle, go and find that, and you'll appreciate that I don't slow down. So loop up these first 2 columns, loop the second column to the top first, and then this one, and we're going to dig down here, pull up and loop to the side. Okay, now this is where our fancy footwork is coming in. This is where we move things forward. What we're going to do, keep your thumb on the end here. You need to take this first column off your loom. Use the back of a hook or whatever you've got to help you take that off. Now we're going to use our Rainbow Loom hook, which on the bottom has a base removal tool. If you're not familiar with this, it's like a little hook. You pop it under the base plate and it will pop it out for you. We're going to take the 2 small base plates and budge them forward so that you have a space here to put your next column. Leave the big base plate holding the 3 columns of pegs. So we've moved these forward, the 2, and then this column is completely free with no bands. So you're going to take it off and move it forward. Make sure it's the same height as the other. Now these are our 2 lead bands, and they're going to go on here, but we still need to have another set for our next column. So we'll put those there first, and then we'll move these across. Alright, and just move your hook around the inside of the bands to make sure that they're not twisted. So column number 3, we're going to start with a pair of white and a pair of red, and then 2 pair of white, and 2 pair of red, and then 2 pair of white, pair of red, and a pair of white. We're going to use lead bands, so pop them here and then drag these lead bands over to incorporate that column. We're going to drag our crossover bands over. Now your crossover bands can go between 4, 5 or 6 pegs, and you kind of work out how many columns you have in total and work out how many how many pegs you want them to go through. So for us, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 columns. So you might say that we would want to go through 4, 8 and 12, which would be 3 sets of crossover bands. So this would be our first set here. Okay, so now what we're going to do, dig down the bottom here, grab those 2 white bands and loop those to the right. That's our border, and then loop up the middle column. You're pushing the crossover bands back with the back of your hook to just expose those 2 bottom bands that you're looping up. Once you've looped this one, you're going to dig down here. I pull it up and then move it across like that. You're going to hold here and take this off the loom. It's really important that you push this middle column down. You don't want that coming off the pegs. So make sure that's all pushed down. Okay. Now this time we're moving our big base plate and then our column of pegs. We're now on column number 5. Are we 5? I think we're 5. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're 5. No, we're 4. Silly me, because we had a border. That's right. Okay, so we're number 4. So take a pair of pair of pegs, gosh, pair of white bands, and then drag these ones over. So column number 4 starts with a pair of blue, and then we go a pair of white, a pair of red, a pair of white, 2 pair of red, a pair of white, a pair of red, a pair of white, and a pair of blue. Take 2 white for your lead for the bottom, and then drag these across like that. Now we're going to use a new set of crossover bands. So take a single white band and you're putting them on top of the middle one. Even though that's already got a crossover band on, you're putting your new crossover band on that one and then to the column on the right hand side of it. That's not going to work, it's a broken band. So there we go. Now let's loop this up, dig down, find those 2 white bands and loop them to the side, and then we move forward. You've got 2 crossover bands to push back with the back of your hook this time, so make sure you push them both back. Down here and loop to the side, push everything down, and then we take this first column off our loom. We're moving the mini base plates. Two lead white. Oopsie. Drag these other whites across. There we go. Now we are on column number 5. We have a pair of white. We have 4 pair of white actually. And then 2 red. And then 4 white again. Have 2 white bands as your lead. Drag these 2 across. Oopsie, make sure that they're in the right spot. They have to be under. And we drag these across. Now this is the 3rd pin that we've dragged these particular ones across. If you remember, we put them on here. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's dig down past here. Grab the 2 top white bands, loop them to the right, and then we loop up our middle column. A lot of people have said that I'm very quiet on these videos. One thing to remember is there are 2 volume controls. There's obviously the volume control that you have for your PC, your tablet or your phone, but YouTube has its own volume control as well. And I had noticed, I was watching something on YouTube the other day, I think it was one of those ice challenges or something, and I couldn't hear them at all, or it was the news or something like that. Couldn't hear it at all, and my volume on my computer was way up high and it was still really low on YouTube, and it was because I had the YouTube volume set so low that I could hardly hear anything. So we're beginning to have a shape here. Move the column forward, and yes, you can see that there's the white bands through them, and the tighter you pull them the less likely you are to see it, but I think we'll be okay. I'm not too worried. 2 white bands as a lead. Where is it? There it is. And drag these 2 across. There we go. Now we have 2 columns entirely of red. So this will be our first column. It will be completely red. And then put 2 white bands on the bottom. Drag these 2 across. Make sure they're good. I'm going to drag this across 1 more. So that's our 4th peg. So the next one is going to need new crossover bands. Okay. Dig down. Find the 2 top white ones and loop those to the side. And loop up. Let's take this column off our loom. and move our base plates forward. We have another column of entire red to do. So take 2 white for our lead, move these 2 white across. Mine are twisted, so I'm going to untwist them. There we go. And now let's lay the red bands again. Pop that on the end and drag this through. Make sure those are right. Now, as I said, we're going to use new crossovers, single white bands. I don't know if any of my friends in England get the magazine called Girl Talk magazine, but if you do, you'll notice in this latest issue that just went on sale, my little minion pencil topper is in there. So that's a huge buzz. Dig down, find those 2 white ones, link them across here. Move that to the right. Let's take this column off the loom. Turn it over, and we're doing the big base plate this time. Move it forward. Take our free column and pop it here. Okay, so we take 2 white bands as our lead for the next, and then we put our white bands there. We have 4 pair of white bands to lay. And then we have 2 pair of red. And then 4 white. And take 2 for your lead for the next column. Throw your hook around. There we go. Okay, let's drag these across. So this is now, they've been on 1 peg, 2 peg, this is the 3rd peg. And we loop up. Dig down and loop that to the side. Let's take this column off. Keep everything pushed down, you don't want it to go walkabout. move your column forward, get 2 lead, oops, there we go, pop them on there and move those forward. Now we're going to start with a pair of blue. They're a bit twisted, I'm going to untwist them, there we go. There's a pair of blue, pair of white, pair of red, pair of white, 2 pair of red, pair of white, another pair of red, white and blue. And pop those across. Let's drag these over. This is our 4th peg. And loop. I know it's a bit of a game to be the first to make a comment when somebody uploads a video, but yesterday, I'm taking this column off, I noticed that there were some really mean comments, and all the comments that are made I approve before they actually show on the page, and so that includes the comments of I'm first, I'm first, I'm first. So you don't see any of those comments until I approve it. So you might think you're first, because I might not have actually got to approve the post yet. So to hear somebody say, no you're not, you're an idiot, not good. I really don't want that kind of attitude on the channel, if that's okay. Let's all treat each other with a bit of respect. I'm just going to be deleting comments like that. Nobody is an idiot. It's a game. The whole first thing is a game. So if it gets out of hand and people are going to be rude to each other, I'm just going to delete all comments to do with whether anybody's first or not. So we'll see how we go, but please, let's have a bit of respect for each other, okay? 2 lead bands. Now we're going to start with a pair of white. And a pair of red, and another pair of white, 1 more pair of white, and then 2 red. Then we do the reverse, so we've got 2 white, pair of red, and a pair of white, and we have 2 white as our lead for the border. Hey, come back here, Tricky, and grab these and drag them across like that. Now I think we're up for a new set of bands here. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes we are. Single white, and now we can loop up. Got some big old thunderstorms happening behind me. and dig down past all the bands, grab those 2 white and loop them to the side. Push everything down. And let's take this first column off our loom. Budge our base plates forward. And move our column forward. So now we start with our 2 lead white. Just changing up here. Come on, come on, come on. Where are you? There we go. So we're going to start with 2 red, 2 white, 2 blue, 2 white, then we have 2 red, it forms part of the cross, and then we do the reverse. So we have 2 white, 2 blue, 2 white, 2 red, and our lead, and drag these lead ones over. So did we just put new crossovers? We did. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's dig down, loop these up to the right, and loop these up the center. Push these all down, and let's take this off. We're on our last column. Well, actually, our last column of the flag, then we have a border to do. That in place. So we'll do our last 2 lead, because they will go to where our border is going to be. Let's pull these lead ones across. Hey, come here. Go fishing. There we go. Now we've got 2 white, 2 blue, 2 white. That doesn't look right. We don't have 2 white. I'm sending you on a bum steer. Whoa, bum steer here. We have 1 pair of white. So 1 pair of white and 2 pair of blue. Helps to look at the pattern, doesn't it? 1 pair of white. Now you know what made me think that that was wrong? These have been 2 red the whole way. So for them to suddenly not be 2 red would have been very odd. 2 red, and then we do the reverse. So a pair of white, 2 pair of blue, and then a pair of white. We have 1 more set of white to put across here as our last lead. Drag that across. Now, I've only gone through 1, 2, 3, this will be 4, and we have another column that we're going to do. So this particular set of bands is going to go between 5 instead of 4. I'm not going to put another set of crossovers on, I'm just going to drag it, that extra column. Let's dig down. the center. And let's take this column off. Now we're on our last column, which is the border, which will just all be white. So we don't have to put a lead because there's nothing, it's not going anywhere further. This is the last bit. We're just doing white all the way down. Drag these two across. Again, you don't need a lead. And now this is where we're going to drag this over that last column. As I mentioned, it can go between 4, 5 and 6. I wouldn't stretch it further than 6 because the chances that it will break would be, snap would be quite high. You can loop both of these columns up at the same time now. When we get to the top here, we're going to do these, one side and the other, and let's take 2 white bands, poke your hook all the way down past all of those bands and out the side there, put the 2 white bands on the end of your hook and drag it back through to the back side of this peg, and then take the 2 closest to you up, over and off, and pull tight into a slip knot. You're ready to take this off the loom. When I take this off, when I just pull them off, I do actually like to have it so that I'm pulling with the smoother rounded edge. I feel if it's going the other way, you've got more chance of breaking a band, but still be careful. Stretch it into shape. Now with these little tie-off bands, what I like to do, I go under here, through there, like that, and grab those tie-off bands, and I'm just going to pull them, and I should really do it with a hook that has a bit of a deeper hook to it. Some of the hooks have different depth to them. The Rainbow Loom one is a particularly deep hook, which is quite nice. And some of the crochet ones are not so deep. And this is tricky. I'm grabbing more bands than I need. There we go. And put it back up. Oh, I can see it's poked out through the side here. I want it in the center. There we go. So it's hidden inside this. And there is our tiny little mural of the Union Jack done on a single, oh, it's still poking out the other side. Get back here. Well, you can fiddle around with it and make it perfect. But that's done on a single loom, and I'll show you the one that we did already, which was the one that was done on 2 looms. So there is a very big difference in size, as you can see, and you can see the difference in the detail. Can you see how this one is much more detailed than this? But this is the single loom and this is the double loom. So there you go. I hope you enjoy making. They make great drinks coasters. Take care.